Coaches, Mike Kuchar, www.xandolabs.com. Just want to give our thanks out to Coach Sean Weaver, the defensive coordinator at Gettysburg, for putting these clips together on training the six-eye. Coach Weaver did a tremendous job putting together this report on how he trains the six-eye technique in his even front defense. I know a lot of coaches have been asking about that and specific techniques that he trains them. So our eyes right now are going to be on a six technique. These are all end zone shots to make it easier on everybody. Okay, it's right here. Now, Coach talks a lot in his clinic report about a pre-snap key and a post-snap key. That's a tough spot, and personally from experience, I've played that spot in college, and it's a very difficult spot. You're especially playing it from the up position, which Coach Weaver decides to do here because you don't have leverage on that tight end. So we're just going to go through these reads and these releases. We have about 9 clips here for you. The first clip here is going to be an outside release, okay, or a veer or an arc release, depending on what you're calling it. At this point, his key now becomes the hip, okay, of that offensive tackle. Now, since his read is now the hip of the offensive tackle, okay, as this continues to play out, you're going to see it's a pass read. Now he's got to work to get his hands down, okay, and get to quarterback level. And, Coach Weaver made some comments on this one. The player particularly reacts a little too far outside, and I think that's a problem at all levels of football, especially when you're an edge rusher, okay, learning how not to get washed outside. At this point, he's got to really work a counter move or something to come back inside to get back to quarterback level. Okay, now we're looking up here. Okay, arc release by that tight end. A much better job now by that six-eye technique. Now he's able to get down a little quicker off the hip of that tackle. Much smoother on his reaction time. A pretty good counter move, comes back in. Gets involved in the sack. Okay, different angle. Eyes are on that defensive end. Okay, there's your arc release, much stiffer read. Now you're going to get some type of down, okay, or some type of down block or veer release by that tackle. Now what he has to do is he has to pull flat down the line of scrimmage. Now this is important. Okay, when we talk about that with defensive ends, it's the ability to react down. Some coaches call it a pinch, some call it a squeeze, some call it fire, whatever it is. Just closing down on that hip of that offensive tackle. You're going to see a pretty good job right here. He's going to get involved, and that he's being optioned right now in this situation. He does do his job, and he does play the fullback, and it's a pretty good play. Or the near back. That C-gap, we're looking right here, coaches. That C-gap's so important to maintain. Okay, so now he's going to get pressure. When Coach talks about fighting pressure with pressure, dropping the pressure leg, which would be right here if you need to. If you could split it, you could split it. All right, but what's going to happen here is as you continue to let this thing pull out, okay, he's fighting this thing. He's staying in his gap. That's terrific gap integrity. He's staying in that C gap. He's going to continue to fight, okay, and hold that gap. Pretty good stalemate. Okay, looking at there. All right, this is a down pull. Again, a tough reaction for a six-eye because right now you don't have the angle. You're a C-gap player. That tight end's going to block down. You got to do a good job holding that water, protecting that C-gap. Now watch as this thing continues to develop. Excellent job. Excellent hand placement. And Coach Weaver details this in his clinic report. Okay, talking about hand placement, working, stretching. Okay, maintain the C-gap, and able to fight outside that thing. And eventually, once the ball commits, okay, he's going to commit now. You see his hat start to peek outside at this point. And he's able to get involved in the tackle. Okay, looking right up here. Visual key arc release. Okay, on the D-gap player. fighting pressure or pressure, holding that C gap right now. Very important. You fight pressure or pressure, hold that C gap. Okay, excellent inside hand position. Once the ball commits, he could play a gap and a half and fall back inside if he needs to. Ball stays in the B gap, not his play. He holds the C gap. Now watch the footwork here. Okay, watch the footwork. Pretty poor footwork, as Coach Weaver notes on this one. Okay, can't allow yourself to get cut off. You're a C gap player. If that tight end or that whoever it is at H or that flexed F, whoever it may be, is going to try to cut you off in the C gap, you got to do a better job of fitting in there, okay, and not getting cut off. It puts him in a bad spot by losing his gap. Okay, up top over here again, C gap player. Again, you see, just ever so slightly, he winds up picking his foot up. If you could see it, I'll try to slow it down for you. Right there. Once that foot moves now, the outside foot moves and not the inside foot. Little things, little details that are so intricate in terms of playing your gap. Now he's going to get cut off by that tight end. He's put in a bad spot. And you see the ball's able to cut back inside into the A or B gap. And finish on a good note here. C gap player, 6I. Combination block, tight end not so physical on the combination, but he's going to hold water into that C gap. Pretty good job stringing it. Okay. Forces the tackle to come off on a play side inside linebacker. Now he's one-on-one with the tight end. Just got to finish this thing. Excellent job. Now, you know, a lot of coaches talk about this, whether it's the release, whether it's the rip, whether it's the shed, okay, with the throw, whatever you're teaching this. I mean, this is tremendous by this player right here. That's a terrific throw. That's a great job of maintaining inside hand position, maintaining leverage, and finishing off on the throw, so he's able to fight outside here. Just got to make the tackle and finish that thing off. All right, coaches, just some clips on training the 6I. Again, our thanks goes out to Coach Sean Weaver, the defensive coordinator at Gettysburg College, for putting these clips together, and we appreciate you logging in.